Wakey, wakey. Peekaboo.
How did you get down there?
I'm Peter. It's nice to meet you.
When Timmy went missing, what do you remember?
He's close to Neverland, and he must act now to take the children with him.
It's time to collect.
Oi, freak! You gonna pay for that?
I'm Peter. Do you know what I have?
Don't worry about Michael. I'm gonna take him to Neverland.
So if you need a hand...
Wow.
Who wants to come to Neverland with me? It's my duty to send the kids to Neverland and protect them from this world.
In a place where you can be a little boy for the rest of your existence.
Get back to me!
Marco?
Hello.
Marco? Hello.
I am here with Kit Green, who is playing a very, very different interpretation of Tinkerbell and Neverland Nightmare coming up. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good today, thank you. It's lovely to see you.
Yeah, but you've been trying to get this interview done for a while. My schedule has been wacky, but thank you for making time for me today.
Oh, my pleasure. I love talking about this film. So because it's such an interesting project. So yeah, it's lovely to talk about.
Yeah, now I got involved with these guys, obviously with Pooh, Blood and Honey, the first two of them, and now we have an entire universe. How did you come about playing this role? This is an iconic role that's like I said, has a place in a lot of people's heart. How did you come about getting the role of Tinkerbell?
Well, I had heard about Winnie the Pooh, the Blood and Honey movie on the news in the UK. And then, then my agent was saying, "Oh, they're doing this new movie. Would you be interested?" And then I chatted with Scott, and Scott had lots of ideas about this character, and it sort of unfolded from there. So yeah, it's been a lovely evolution.
Explain, and there are some dramatic differences between your character and the one people all know and love. Explain some of the major differences between your Tinkerbell and the one that people have grown up with, and what they should be in store for.
Well, as you know, like the trailer just came out recently, and so that's given quite a few clues, but they're still not giving everything away. And Tinkerbell wasn't really seen in the trailer. Like my voice was in it a little bit, and there's a couple of little glimpses. So I can't tell you so much, but you know, because I think they want to sort of keep some of the surprise for when the movie comes out. But yeah, I mean, everything is predicated on Peter and the way that he controls his world or tries to control everything in his world, and Tinkerbell is part of that. And Tinkerbell, I think what's so great about this script and why I loved it so much is that she's very, she's trapped in many ways, but she's got little spark, and that's how the character is still the same character as he was in the J.M. Barrie and in the Disney. She's still very alive, and she's trying her best to make sense of the world that she's in. That's all I can say. It's not very clear, but there's a few clues in there.
Now, we'll have the trailer as part of this interview. Now, the original first time I saw you was when I was at Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, and they had the poster.
Mm-hmm.
and we did the poster breakdown, and I could see Tinkerbell, what we thought was Tinkerbell, had the syringe.
Yes.
So obviously we're not dealing with the old traditional fairy dust.
No, yes, it's a very different take on fairy dust and on pixie dust and fairy dust, yeah. And Tinkerbell, yes, I mean she believes she's a fairy, but not all the time. And there's an interesting thing of like the fans will look forward to working this out when they see the full film, but there's an interesting take on the crocodile, which you'll see, but it won't make any sense until you see the film. So yeah, it's definitely not the traditional take, and I'm not the traditional casting for, you know, a little pretty fairy that kind of, you know, pops in and out. So
no, your casting seems to fit with everything else that's gone on. Like I said, I grew up a horror fan, and I know, like I said, I grew up with you know, some of these characters. I grew up with more horror than I did with Disney, so for me, this is a perfect match. Like I asked everybody else who's played these characters, Lewis, all those other guys, once people have heard that you're playing them, what do they say when they realize it's not going to be the Walt Disney version?
Oh yeah, so I think people are really intrigued. I like the fact that people who know the original, you know, like going all the way back to J.M. Barrie and the way that he wrote the book, people that know that from their childhoods, they're like, well, yeah, but the original book, the Edwardian book is crazy dark. You know, it's not like this. The original source material that Disney took it from is this sort of like, you know, pretty little summary tale. It's like really dark. I mean, and the line from it is, to die will be an awfully big adventure. I mean, that's not a kid's story, is it?
No, and Peter Pan in the book is a bit of an ass.
Yes,
he's not.
He's awful. He's terrible. And yeah, and Wendy's kind of this great figure, but she's sort of controlled. Oh, I don't know. But so I think if you take it back to that, it's like there's a lot of darkness in the original story. So it's not like there's this pretty little thing which has been ruined. Do you know what I mean? It's being dark. I think it's there. It's just being made a lot more explicit.
Is it fair to say that this interpretation is closer to the book than obviously we you know the
no, I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
I think the darkness is, but it's very contemporary. It's very now, and I think a lot of the things that Scott, when he was writing it, is interested in are very contemporary issues around innocence and protection of innocence, around coercive control and what is coercive control in relationships. You know, many very contemporary things.
Now you're part of this universe now. It's like the MCU.
Yes.
It's like the Avengers. Once you play a character, so are you looking forward to just having a recurring role? I know obviously you can't tell me what happens to you in the movie or whether you live, die, and all that. But are you looking forward to this being a staple in your career now?
All I'll say is I think confidently we can state that Tinkerbell will be back.
All right, cool. So I don't have to put the spoiler alert scroll at the bottom of the screen.
But that doesn't mean to say, that doesn't give you any clues as to what's going to happen in this. I mean,
yeah,
Tinkerbell's a fairy, so you know it's not.
She's really hard. Yeah.
She don't play by the real rules. Do you know what I mean? So there's no spoiler about what might happen in this one, but yeah, I think confidently we can say she'll be back.
All right, now all of these, you know, the first two movies have been on a gore level of, you know, that, like I said, a guy like me judges these movies on the 3Ds: death, dismemberment, and destruction. On a scale of 1 to 10, where is all that here? Am I in store for the same beauty that I've had in the first two movies installments?
I can answer that with a personal anecdote that I finished my scenes on this film. I was in for, you know, a few weeks, and I finished my last scene, and I had spent a long time cleaning up afterwards. Let's just say that. The next day I was driving, going back to London, and I was like, there's something in my nose, and there was a huge clot of blood because there'd been so much blood. Do you know what I mean? Like it was everywhere. So if that answers your question, there's blood.
It makes me happy to hear that. Like I said, when we first heard of these projects, Scott will tell you, I basically stalked Scott Chambers. My dude, you gotta let me promote this. You gotta let me interview this, because I think this whole twisted thing was just fun. I think a lot of it is I mean, like I said, and we always say it with each of the people we bring on, is like, if you're this messed up your childhood, then you didn't have one, because these are just fun movies, fun slashers. Are you a horror fan? Is this a genre that you're pretty much into?
It's a really great question, and the answer is no, not at all.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
It's so interesting for me because I'm a theatre maker, and I really love when making audiences uncomfortable in a variety of ways. But personally speaking, I don't like feeling tense, and so the minute the music starts and this sort of heartbeat thing and everything's dark and somebody's like, oh, I'm just going to go into this empty house and see. I'm like, why are you going there? Like, it just doesn't work with my brain. I'm like, don't go in that house. Like, don't go in the light. And I think maybe my life's tense enough. I don't like it. So I think what that does for me is that, having got involved in this universe, and it's so intriguing for me because I'm looking at it very analytically, and I'm like, and I was asking when we were filming, I was asking Scott questions. I was like, why are you doing that? Why are you filming it like that? Does that make it more tense? So I'm fascinated by it. Will I watch the whole film with my eyes open? I don't think so.
Oh man, you gotta.
I know, I'll watch it, but I won't be like, oh, show me everything. I watched some scenes the other day. I did some extra dialogue, and so I've seen quite a few scenes, and I really enjoyed them a lot. But yeah, I don't enjoy being tense. But if you enjoy being tense, you're gonna love this film. That's all I'll say.
Perfect. Now, what is your genre? What is your preferred genre then, if it's not horror?
Oh, movies. My friend used to joke, who was because I come from a stand-up cabaret background, as you know, and I brought that into theatre. So my friend who's a stand-up used to have this joke, which I loved, which is that there's two kind of movie fans. One is films in which lots of people die very quickly, and then the other one is where one person dies very, very slowly, like Terms of Endearment or something like that. And I'm much more of like a sentimental person, of like, oh, I want to see someone suffering very slowly over 2 hours, where they talk about their feelings all the time. I'm that kind of girly person.
Okay.
Too many people dying too quickly, I'm like, no, not interested. So yeah, I like sort of intense psychological things where people talk about the feelings, and that's why I'm single. No, I'm joking.
Hey, listen, join 50% of the world. So I mean, but so it sounds like this movie has everything I want, everything I need. It's consistent with the previous one, so it's checking off all my boxes. So eventually,
I think also I would say that each time they make one of these movies, this gang, like the production values go up, everything about that. I think there's they're really gaining confidence every time, and that's so exciting to be part of that, to witness that.
Especially as a fan. I know you're on the inside, you're actually working on the movie, but as a fan, because like I reached out to these guys prior to, they were still getting everything together. Once I heard that this was happening, I literally hunted him down, my dude, and like I said, we've been back and forth, and just to see what they started with, just to watch the first two movies and see the evolution of what, I mean, Pooh looks extremely different, up to the point where we could even have a Tinkerbell, or we could even have some of these characters, Pinocchio, all these things up there to the point. So I'm glad people have grasped onto it, because like I said, I love independent movie. We do a lot of stuff with Trauma Films, Lloyd Kaufman, stuff like that. So I love the fact that people can get limited resources together and still make something that's a lot of fun. So how much, I know you with the blood and everything, but how much did you have a lot of fun shooting this? I mean, was it the atmosphere?
Oh yeah, it's like I said, it's a new world for me, this kind of genre, and I was so fascinated, like, with the prosthetics. I was asking so many questions about the prosthetics. How are they made? What, how is it all put together? Yeah, just the technicalities of it, and and how you do it with cutting and all of that stuff. But also, aside from that kind of intellectual thing, just, yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's also, you know, we were shooting a lot of the scenes in an abandoned building that has not been inhabited for decades. And, you know, there's a lot of problems when it comes to that. And yeah, there's no electricity. And so you just get to the bit where it's like, oh, it's, you know, it's not dark yet. It's evening time, but it's not quite dark. And then you suddenly go, everyone's gone and I'm alone in an empty building.
Ooh,
And,
yeah.
you know, so that was not fun. But there was a lot of fun. And of course, when you're in an extreme situation, there's great camaraderie between performers and the team. So that's beautiful.
Now, obviously, like once this airs, we'll have some visuals. But how? What were the visual aspects of your character that were kind of carried over? I mean, well, you know, to make her, you know, recognizable. Okay, that's Tinkerbell.
There are certain things. I mean, I can't really say too much. But you'll have to see when it. I mean, I loved the first time Tinkerbell's seen in the film. She's sort of in the back of shots, but like the first time she's really seen, it like explains so much about what's happened to her and who she is and how she sees herself, and how she's both a reflection of what Peter wants her to be and how she sees herself. She's certainly not immediately recognizable from the little Disney figure that sort of pops up, you know. But there are moments, you know. There's little clues and little hints. It's pleasurable. It'll be pleasurable for the audience to go, that makes sense. Yeah.
All right, like I said, everything you're saying just makes this a must see for me. Like I said, I implore anybody just to you know, like I said, to just go see these things as they're being made. They don't do a lot of movies like this. There's a lot of indie stuff being made, and I see a lot of it, but there's not a lot of indie horror like this. This is kind of unique in its way, and I know they've made a lot of movies, but since Pooh, Blood and Honey, there just seems to be a big difference in a lot of it, and I'm like I said, I'm happy to see it. If I'll have all of Kit's information in the description, IMDb, everything you guys would want to know. If I can add the trailer to it without getting copyright stricken, I'm going to add all that to it. So, Kit Green, thank you for being here. Thanks for finally linking up with my wacky schedule, and I'm looking forward to you and your syringe and all the magic that is the Poohverse / Twisted Childhood universe. But I wish you all the luck in the world and in this new phase of your acting career.
Thank you so much. It's a real pleasure, and nice to talk about the movie and to chat about horror in general. Love it.
Awesome.
Wakey, wakey. Peekaboo.
How did you get down there?
I'm Peter. It's nice to meet you.
When Timmy went missing, what do you remember?
He's close to Neverland, and he must act now to take the children with him.
It's time to collect.
Oi, freak! You gonna pay for that?
I'm Peter. Do you know what I have?
Don't worry about Michael. I'm going to take him to Neverland.
So if you need a hand...
Wow.
Who wants to come to Neverland with me? It's my duty to send the kids to Neverland and protect them from this world.
In a place where you can be a little boy for the rest of your existence.
Listen to me!
Marco?
Polo.
Marco?
Polo.
And that was the trailer for the latest Twisted Childhood Universe movie, Peter Pan, Neverland, Nightmare. As you guys know, I am before the first movie even was started filming. I was Scott Dreffy. I was his stalker, trying to get interviews. I was so excited, and here we have the latest star, Peter Pan himself, Martin Portlock. How are you doing today?
Hey, William, how you doing, buddy? I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm going to fly out to LA in about 3 or 4 days and go and see this movie.
Yes, I will be. I wish I could be there in Burbank. I will be here in Vegas. I will be at the Vegas premiere here, just hosting my own little thing here. Like I said, I've been a huge fan of these movies since I heard the concept. Now you are a Peter Pan. Now, have you read the original book?
Yes. In fact, my first ever stage gig was Captain James Hook. So which is a bit of a flip, isn't it? Now I've seen the best of both worlds now.
Now, having read the original literature, Peter Pan in those books isn't, let's say, the nicest person.
No.
Now, Neverland Nightmare is going to be an extreme, but do you feel that the portrayal here that you're about to do or have done is closer to the literature than the cartoonish versions, obviously, that we've gotten?
That's a really good question. I think it's important to remember that Peter Pan's story is inherently dark. We're talking about a kid that flies to other kids' windows and takes them off in the night to another place where they commit murder and killing pirates, and they want to never grow up and live without consequence. And to me, that scares the hell out of me. And I wouldn't say that this particular Peter Pan character reflects those things. But I think what Scott's done is utilize the story of Peter Pan and those characters and generated what he and what others would have perceived a real Peter Pan to have been. And we're not just talking about a guy that decides to come around with a feather in his hat and fly around taking children. We're talking about somebody who truly believes that he's this guy that never wants to grow up. He believes that he's a kid. He wants to get to Neverland. He wants to be a kid forever, and he'll do anything to get there. And what he's doing, he truly believes that he's helping other children. And I think that when you have a character that truly believes what they're doing is right, when it's absolutely apparent that it's incredibly wrong, I think they're the most dangerous people in the world.
What influenced your portrayal of this character? What kind of things did you use to put yourself to make yourself Peter Pan? Because I see some influences that when I'm watching, because I'm a horror fan.
Go on then. You tell me what you think the influences are.
I see, believe it or not, and I know I'm going to get a lot of kickback. I see some Leatherface there.
Right.
I see a little bit of Michael Myers there. The actual appearance itself, a lot of it would go from like when I used to watch those stuff as a kid of the serial killers. I see a lot of Freddy Krueger.
Right. Okay. This is interesting because I've had other people say this to me. When in actual fact, when I was preparing for this role, I didn't want to look at other influences. I didn't want to look at other horror movies. I think Peter Pan was such a deep character from the way he's been written and the psychological issues that this character has. I thought if I start drawing on things that other people have done, then I'm going to ruin this character. So I played this character true to how this character would have been in the given moment. I think that opening scene in the trailer, you've got me in a cellar reaching out to this little kid called James. And, how would a grown man be in that situation? Well, he'd probably put on a kid's voice. It might not be a very good kid's voice if he was a grown man. He just wants to be friendly and mess around with him, and you can see the reality in this guy's eyes of what he's trying to achieve, and the kid can't see it, but the audience can, and that's what I really wanted to do. And a lot of people have said, "Oh my God, that's very Pennywise," when in fact, you know, in many respects, yeah, the kind of scene is very similar to the clown underneath the street, you know, trying to entice Georgie into where that hole is. But for me, it was more about just keeping in that kind of psychological moment for that particular character in that time.
Okay, now I grade all my horror movies on a scale of 3Ds: death, destruction, and dismemberment. So on scale, and I gotta have them. I gotta have them in order for it to pass grade. On a scale of 1 to 10, where does Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare fall into that scale? How much death? How much destruction? How much dismemberment?
Okay. To start with death, I would say probably about a 7. Destruction, I think if you're talking about self-destruction or your psychological destruction, I would put it about 6. What was the other one? What was the other D?
Dismemberment. How many limbs get ripped off?
Let's give dismemberment an 8.5, shall we?
All right, cool. So we're averaging about a 7 or 8. So all right, because I've grown comfortable with these movies being, like I said, Pooh, Blood and Honey. Listen, and what, by the way, guys, the Sci-Fi Center and William does not condone the harming of real people. So don't be messaging me saying, "Oh, you're an awful person." But in Pooh, Blood and Honey, the girl in the wood chipper scene, that's art for me. That is how are you carrying these out? How do I feel when these deaths happen? It's like an Olympic gymnast routine. So that's what I mean. So these movies have now I noticed in the trailer there's a more so than the other Twisted Childhood movies. There's a lot of jump scares. It appears in these this one in their reviews.
Yeah. So actually, I'll tell you that Peter Pan is the way the film has been shot is very different. I mean, if you liked Blood and Honey 2, for example, it was a hell of a markup from Blood and Honey 1.
Yes.
But it was very quick. There was a lot of deaths. It was all really, really happening very, very quickly, and there was these massive characters. Peter Pan is very different. Peter Pan acts more psychological. It works on more the psychological thriller element, and there probably wouldn't be as many deaths in Peter Pan as there was in Pooh. But they hit home really hard when they happen, just because of the situation that they're in. So I think if you're up for a psychological ride, then Peter Pan is the film for you. And that's what I love about Scott and I love about Reese, is the movies that they're creating now with the TCU are all incredibly different. We've just recently wrapped on Pinocchio, because I was blessed enough to do a bit of work on Pinocchio. Not that Peter Pan's in Pinocchio, by the way. However, that film is incredibly different than Peter Pan is. So when they come to do this final movie that they're doing, the Pooniverse, the Monsters Assemble thing, we know that Peter Pan's back. We know that the other characters from the other movies are back, and I'm going to be very interested to see how Scott and Reese incorporate those different styles of filmmaking into this one big movie.
Yeah, because Peter Pan has the person who was working on Chucky. When we got a chance to when we saw the Masters. Yep, we got the chance to, and they showed us the things that they were showing us. They showed us Bambi flipping over a car, and I'm like, I was in tears because, like I said, I am a comic book Avenger. All that I'm into all that stuff, but I'm into horror. That's I'm like horror.
Oh man, I had such a fanboy moment. Todd Masters watching me doing the animatronics on this puppet, and he comes up to me and he goes, have you done this before? And I said, no, man, never done it. Anyway, I got a message from Scott later saying, Todd really likes your work and we want to keep you on for the rest of the shoot from this. And he gave me this, and I had a little bit of a cry. I had a little bit of a cry secretly in the back room. Look, he gave me a T-shirt, and he got all of his team to sign it.
Oh man, you got to get that framed.
That is going to be framed, boy. That is going to be framed.
That is nice. Now, while I was doing some research, I noticed you were on Britain's Got Talent.
Yes.
That was really cool, and you're standing in front of the legendary Simon Cowell. How that there was it's always nerve-wracking to watch people get up in front of those guys, because you're like, man, is this guy going to destroy you? Is he going to be nice about it? But how was that experience?
I was nervous as hell, man. Like right up until just before I walked out onto stage, I was so nervous. I had magic that I had to do. I had a story to tell. I had a character to kind of deliver, and I had to do it all, live on national television, not just in front of these famous judges, but in front of the theatre that were there, which is about 2,000-3,000 people, and live on national television, all on my own. So that was an eye opener for sure. But that show really does give great opportunities to individuals that have a talent to show. And although I knew that witch character was never going to win, right? It wasn't going to win, because I think the majority of people at home watching wouldn't necessarily have liked it. But the amount of response I got back from that was so positive. A lot of people seem to really enjoy it.
That's always a good start. Like I said, I saw that and I'm like, wow, because I just never know, because he's so harsh sometimes, and it's like,
Well, I chased Amanda Holden off the set with a rap. That was good. That wasn't scripted either. That was real. That was real. And then I came back to do The Ultimate Magician the Christmas after, and then I chased her off the stage with a snake. If you've seen that one.
Okay, so next time they see you, they're gonna expect a crocodile or something. So they might not let you in the building. Just a warning. Now, for the audiences, just if you could, without obviously giving spoilers, just give me a brief synopsis of what Peter Pan Neverland's Nightmare is about.
Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare is the story of a man who truly believes what he's doing is right, and will try to achieve his goals no matter what the cost. You can be prepared for a thrilling ride of devastating deaths, and God, that's all flashing back to me now. I can't even get the words out. It's such a psychological thriller. Like this guy puts people through so much pain and anguish, and any kind of child protection laws just seem to go out of the window with this movie.
Good old days.
Yeah, if you are a parent, I'm a father of three. I am actually a father of three, and if you are a parent and you went to see this movie, I think you would be absolutely on the edge of your seat. Absolutely on the edge of your seat.
Now, judging from just the trailers, and I've seen the two previous movies, those movies were fun. There was, the story evolves and everything, especially with Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. It sounds like this is it's a horror movie, but it sounds like there's a relatable story here that I think is going to grab people.
Yeah, there is
more than the previous two. So,
I think the trailer comes across very slasher. Personally, I think it comes across very slasher movie, but it goes a lot deeper. It's a lot deeper than that. Excuse the pun. This will have you hooked. Excuse the pun.
I have. There you go. And Hook is in this. So for those of you who've watched the Robin Williams film, things like that, this is going to be a little bit different version of Hook. Not going to be Dustin Hoffman, but on the makeup process, you go through several stages. How long did that take to get into all that?
So I would wake up from my hotel room, go to set, spend 2 hours going through makeup. There was a day where I had to go through 4 or 5 hours of makeup due to other things. No spoilers, other things. That was, it was hard, but the team were amazing. Like the prosthetics team were lovely. In fact, they were actually the team that did the prosthetics on the Britain's Got Talent thing as well.
Oh, okay.
And they've done Harry Potter and Sleepy Hollow and all that kind of stuff. So they're absolutely amazing team. The prosthetics themselves were actually very comfortable, funnily enough. Like all this down here was quite comfortable. And I used that in the character as well because I could feel it. I could feel it on my face. I could feel the disfigurement. So it kind of helped me get into that.
You're the
headset.
first person that said that it was comfortable. That's like everybody else is like, oh my goodness. The first one was hard, and after that it got a little bit easier. But yeah, I am seriously I'm looking forward to all these movies. Like I said, I am for my viewers, I'm biased. I'm biased. If you go back for 3 years, I am biased toward these. These are fun. I come from, I grew up watching trauma movies and things like that, and just having fun when it comes to horror. I kick a lot of heat for covering these because, like, how could you ruin my childhood? I'm like, and like I said,
man, no. I think this is something that really, really bugs me sometimes. Is people say that it's ruined their childhood. Like, firstly, don't watch the movie if that's what you think.
Exactly.
Secondly, you name me a story that's never been told, and you won't be able to. Like, they've just created Nosferatu. How many times has that story been told? They're just telling it differently, and that's all these guys are doing. They're taking original texts and transforming it into a different version of the story. And I think it's creative. I think it's bold and daring, and I think it's good cinema.
I am 100% with you. I'm a big defender and champion of these movies. Martin Portlock, good luck. Thank you. Congratulations.
One more thing. Thank you for the congratulations. I got somebody who wants to say goodbye.
Goodbye. Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare in theaters next week, beginning 13th, 14th, and 15th. Limited engagement. Get your tickets now. The links and everything will be in the descriptions. If you want to get a hold and look at the rest of Martin's career, his IMDb link will be in there. Like I said, if you have not seen these movies yet, and this is your first one, you're in for a treat. And while you're at it, go see the other two that are out there. So thank you for your time, Martin, and it's been a lot of fun.
Thanks, Will. It's been a pleasure, man.